Today we are going to talk about World of Warcraft and its current state before the War Within comes out. I know there are so many people wondering if it's worth to play, if it's worth to come back, and I just want to point out some problems that I think WoW has these days. I just want to add that all of this is my personal opinion. I'm sure there are people having so much fun playing World of Warcraft, so don't just listen to me, go ask them to. Thanks for watching. Right now, WoW has some big problems, in my opinion, and I want to point them out, but before that, we should talk about WoW a little bit. As you know, World of Warcraft is the biggest MMORPG out there, and it's been like this for almost 2 decades now. There's a reason why it never lost that title, even when expansions such as Shadowlands received negative reactions. World of Warcraft is a pay-to-play MMORPG where you pay a subscription fee every month to have access to the game. Also, you need to buy the most recent expansion to play the endgame content, so that means Blizzard earns huge amounts of money from World of Warcraft only, which leads to a bigger budget and more content frequency than other MMOs have. You might ask, why do people sub to WoW and not the other games? It's simple. Because it was one of the most revolutionary games of the 2000s, and with its unique mechanics, great systems, and amazing lore that was already popular before the MMO came out, so WoW already had a solid foundation. There's always a nostalgia factor that makes people come back to this game even though they don't like its current state. They come back, play the expansion, play the story, and then leave. That's why its classic versions came out and they are all doing pretty okay, which leads to our first problem: multiple MMORPGs of one game. Currently, we have World of Warcraft Classic, Classic Hardcore, Season of Discovery, Cataclysm Classic, and Retail World of Warcraft, which makes it 5 versions of the game available at the same time, because they can't give all that experience in one version. If you want to have a fun leveling experience with your friends, you should play Vanilla Classic. If you want to experience previous expansions, you should play Cataclysm Classic, and if you want the best raiding experience, you should play the retail version, which means the current updated version of the game. Retail is heavily focused on endgame experience, and that's revolving around raids and dungeons. Open world content is very easy and, to my opinion, very boring. At least that's how it was in Dragonflight. Lore became uninteresting, and leveling isn't even a content anymore since it only takes a couple of hours to reach maximum level. Let's start with leveling while we're at it. You create a character, then you start the game, choose an expansion to level your character in, then you start doing that expansion's campaign, quests, dungeons, etc. Which sounds so much fun because you can experience the previous expansions, at least lore wise, but it's a huge mess. There's no indication of what to do in those expansions. You are usually lost. They recently added some campaign quest signs, but it doesn't help a lot. So if you don't know anything about WoW, you probably won't learn anything in your first character either. And another negative of that is you level up so fast and so easily that most of the times you can't even finish campaign when you reach max level. You don't get to practice all your spells and learn passives, etc. You have to do everything at max level. If you want to continue and finish that campaign that gives you nothing, you have to do it on max level. It would be so much fun if you could learn your spells along the way while also doing something meaningful and fun with some challenge. Like, for example, in Hardcore Classic, you learn every passive and every spell you have along the way because you have time to do that. After reaching max level, you do some open world content, normal dungeons to start doing heroic dungeons, then you do mythic and jump on mythic plus 4. While doing all that, you face almost no challenges. Open world is extremely easy and boring. It feels like they put open world content just for the sake of having open world stuff, because in Dragonflight they had so many different things that I didn't want to play. Most of the times it has no replay value, and non-collectible rewards like gears, etc. become useless after first few weeks of season. So you basically don't have any open world content other than farming reputation with again no challenge or good rewards. Then you start doing Mythic Plus or raids if you want to do PV, which is our next topic with seasonal content. Approximately every 6 months WoW releases a new season alongside with some PvE content that lasts for a few days. New season includes higher item level gear dropping from a new raid and a new set of dungeons, usually a mix of old and new dungeons. In Tech Plus, you try to climb the ratings with rewards coming at few milestones, and by those rewards I mean the collectibles. You can earn gear from any level, and for example at 2k rating you get a mount. And at the end of the season, top players get a title, but it's a very low percentage of players, so I don't know if it counts. With raids, you have a new tier set every season and other rewards dropping from raids of each difficulty of Raid Finder, normal, heroic, and mythic raids. You need a good raiding guild to do the mythic raids, and heroic raids with packs can also be very painful. You get good gear, cosmetics, and sometimes mounts, titles, etc. After 6 months, with new season coming, your gear and progress from Mythic Plus and Raid becomes irrelevant because you get the top level of gear of previous season from mid-level difficulties of the current one. So what you get after season ends is a few achievements, a title, amount you do that, some collectibles, but no progression. Basically no progression. I know the seasonal system makes it look like you can hop on anytime and play World of Warcraft at the end game level, but that's not entirely true either. So many guilds and pack groups will check your previous season achievements if you want to do heroic or higher level content. There's no actual training in the game, that prepares you to Mythic Plus or raiding, so you have to learn it by trying, which affects your performance. And by that I mean there are websites and add-ons logging your performance, which is used when you apply to guilds doing top tier content. For example, there's a website called Raider.io. It checks your previous progress, shows you which keys, which levels of dungeons you did before or difficulty of raid you did, and gives you a rating that'll put you on a leaderboard, some sort of leader, and people use that rating to determine if you can do the content or not. Most of the times you can't even get invites to some heroic raids without experience and logs proving you killed it before, which makes no sense since you can't kill the boss without getting an invite in the first place. This is usually the experience of an average solo player, but if you're lucky enough to have a friend who will help you get into groups, guilds, teach you stuff, then you will probably have a way better experience. The real question here should be, why does the player base need this much preparation just to play the only challenging content in the game? That's because the game design is flawed. Most of the mechanics in WoW are designed with guilds in mind, where you could easily do it if you are in a Discord channel and know what you need to do and have a shot color. The difference between raiding with a guild and raiding with packs is huge, and that's all because of the design choices. There are mechanics where multiple people from the same role should do things together, and if you're communicating while doing that, it makes it a lot easier and more fun because you have coordination. There are mechanics that wipes the entire raid, and with pug raids there's usually someone failing those mechanics, which makes people leave the group and raid to get disbanded after a few tries, which results in a complete waste of time. You spend an hour to get an invite and another hour to try and fail, which is like the most playtime an average person can invest in WoW. So at the end of the night you have nothing. If you want to be a raider in WoW, I suggest you find a good guild. That'll make so much difference and you will have the best experience. There's also the topic of meta. Dragonflight had so many balance patches, but it couldn't help with the meta problems. There's always a few specs that are better than the rest, makes people invite those players. Sometimes you can't even play the class spec you want. You are playing with packs. Higher levels in Mythic Plus requires the best gameplay, so that toxic system filled with weird restrictions make it hard, and the fixes that require certain utilities, players tend to become toxic too. Also, when you can't time a Mythic Plus dungeon, you lose a key, and someone decides to leave group. The holder loses a key level. So many unnecessary punishments that usually only affect our groups leads to so much toxic behavior in the game, and that's why meta matters so much in this game. That's obviously just my opinion on this. Even though I think World of Warcraft has the best raid and dungeon design in the MMO market, and by that I mean the entire dungeon experience, not just the mechanics. Even though I think they are the best, I don't think it has the most fun. At the end of the day, it's a game we play to relax, but it becomes a huge pain sometimes. There are so many other problems like boosting becoming a norm that is allowed by Blizzard, people buying gears and achievements making your progress meaningless. But right now I want to focus on WoW's lack of actually fun content. There are so many things you can do, but you won't want to do any of them because they have no challenge, no good rewards, and takes so much time. Why would you do it? Why would you do it? Yes, they're adding does with the war within, but I don't think the elite party will allow to be a valid way of gearing. It'll probably end up being something not worth doing, but we'll see. And by this, WoW players will know what I mean. To end this video on a positive note, I think all of this can be fixed if Blizzard stops trying to cater the entire game to a small percentage of players and does a little bit of everything instead. There's no reason why we can't have a good leveling experience in retail. It doesn't have to be long, but it can be engaging and fun. Or there's no reason that we can't have good open world content like Guild Wars 2, or a big PvP map like Elder Scrolls Online's Cyrodiil. WoW can be an even bigger game. I hope they realize that soon. And I'm not trying to target anyone here. I'm just saying there are more players who wants to enjoy a game than who wants to be the number one at the game. Thanks for watching and everything I said in this video are just my personal opinion. Don't forget to subscribe so you can hear me yapping about everything wrong with the MMO.